Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining. So last week we went through the governance scope, and now we have to go through support scope. I believe Rafael has shared the link to it, but let me share a link here in case if you guys haven't seen the agenda. Yeah, maybe Rafael, do you want to start with opening?
Yeah, sure. So we're gonna touch support scope this week, and support scope sounds simple, but it's actually one of the most diverse scopes out there, and it's kind of like a collection bucket of stuff that doesn't fit in anywhere else, and that makes it extremely important in some ways, but provides some challenges, especially like to advisory council member selection. Because if you just look at the topics that are in the support scope: governance process support, DAO toolkit core development, the artificial intelligence system, budget standardization, sub-DAO incubation, ecosystem actor incubation, communication channels and agreements, resilience funds and research and preparedness, and the purpose system, then it becomes pretty clear that we will not find experts that can cover the whole ground here. It's just too diverse. And I think that's okay. It's just gonna be one of the scopes with, in my mind, and I'm happy to discuss that with anybody who wants to prefer some opinions here. One of the biggest advisory councils, because very clearly an AI expert might not be the most knowledgeable about philanthropy. I mean, maybe, but most likely not. And then a legal expert for the resilience fund might not be the best person to know about the DAO toolkit. So in my mind, this is one of the bigger advisory councils. I, like, just off the top of my head, probably think at least like 8 to 10 members. And that would be good, actually. It's probably even more. But of course, not all of them. So like the whole scope doesn't have to produce a lot of output in all of the processes at the same time, because not all of the processes are relevant at the current time in governance. So I think at the moment, for me, and I mean, maybe you can pitch in with your opinion, the two most important sub-scopes here are governance process support. I think that's incredibly important, just surfacing what's happening in governance, which areas are most out of alignment, how do we make sure these get addressed, and so on and so forth. This is really cool, and especially as soon as sub-DAOs become active and then there's sub-DAO governance, this will become even more important. Ecosystem actor incubation and agreements is also very important at the moment, I feel, because we have seen thankfully like a big number of ecosystem actor applications, and now we have to make sure that MakerDAO engages with these entities in the most in the best way possible, so that results get produced and budgets get spent well. Maker doesn't get overcharged, and Maker gets the results it deserves and it desires to get out of those relationships. And budgets and reporting are always important. We're pretty fortunate to have strategic finance, who I think are one of the best entities out there in DAO reporting, but maybe we can find experts that can help strategic finance with some intricacies of the budgeting and reporting procedures, especially as we get towards ecosystem actors. And then I think the whole ecosystem actor process, like the way ecosystem actors are selected, and rewarded and monitored needs a lot of work. So, but it's also a great area for growth, because this is a way the DAO can attract talent. This is a way the DAO can promote itself. Like if cool people work with Maker and they make a noise about it, this helps. Like this floats all the boat, right? All the boats. So at least in my mind, these are the most important areas. Yeah, I think for my part, this is it as far as it goes. I don't want to go too deep into the artificial intelligence system. I think SES has a budget there. They're gonna work towards developing something, and we can wait for that. And the Resilience Fund, we had an excellent presentation by Layer Zero here a while ago, and resilience research and preparedness. Maybe that's something that I've recently done some research, and I can just briefly touch. So I think, like, in terms of resiliency, the communication channels that we use are obviously less than ideal. I think KISS AVC has started using Element, which is a system that can basically work in a self-hosted manner, so you don't rely on third parties. This is not what KISS does at the moment, but it's possible if Maker would decide to run its own Element server. So we're very supportive. I'm personally very supportive of that. And in terms of decentralized front ends, there has been a very interesting conversation in speculation. I've personally researched a little bit into the near blockchain operating system, which is like a container storage for these small components that are stored on the blockchain, basically like IPFS, but those are like JavaScript like elements that can then load directly into the browser, so nobody needs to install an application or download code and compile it locally, which would be a huge stumbling block. So anything that runs natively in the browser, I think, has to be preferred here in terms of decentralized front ends. Just in terms of like user adoption.
Yeah, I just want to kind of also share that I agree with you that, I mean, I think that all of these are very important. And I think that we're also fortunate to get a presentation about the resilience fund last time. In terms of some of the privacy side, I think that's something that I saw there was a post about like the learnings from ABC calls this time. I think next time there will be probably some more guidance towards what kind of tools that we can use. But yes, you can go ahead. Yes, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, thanks to. I think that's also that's like, for me, falls under the governance process about exactly like what tools can AVCs use. How can we make sure, like that came up in the composable AVC call last Friday, like each AVC has these kind of guest speakers from time to time that give these really powerful presentations. How can we make sure this knowledge is shared in the most easy fashion, so that that like all the AVCs together really generate this kind of institutional knowledge, and like we reduce duplication and make the whole process very accessible. So and I think that's something that can constantly be optimized, because if you reduce the costs of information, that the cost of producing this information and of advancing governance, then we will accelerate the whole process, and we will reduce the cost of governance long term, which is I think exactly what Endgame is all about. Like, governance is important, but it should be as lean as possible, as transparent as possible, and as efficient as possible. And so I think governance process support is something that's super important right now, and we're happy to see that as part of the support scope, and looking forward to finding great experts here who can help with exactly that, with this kind of tooling that we need to make this process better. So yeah, I mean, if any delegates have some kind of insight about like what other AVCs, how other AVCs maybe approach the support scope or parts of it, or if there are any suggestion about like the size of the advisory council. I think that would be super interesting to me.
I must say that delegates are now a very tough crowd. So, but I'm pretty sure that they appreciate what we're saying. Just their way of showing appreciation.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing from delegates, then I think I'm happy to give everybody back some of their time. And I think you and I have 2 weeks ahead of us where we have to produce some documents. And
yeah, actually regarding it, so Rafael has been leading the front for position document. I also have reviewed it. I actually don't know, like, so there's no requirement for like how many pages and things like that, right?
no, I haven't seen anything into that regard. Also, like like basically nothing more specific. Like we just have to produce something that touches all of the scopes, and just give some input about like detailed input about like how we want to select advisory council members, about the process and like what criteria they need, and then some like overall doc where we say like what's the strategy. And what I don't know, and maybe delegates can pitch in here as the experts on all things governance. In the second document, the strategy document, do we again touch each scope and give a strategic outlook per scope, or is it like just top level strategy? Okay, Harmony says per scope. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. So I think exactly, Bona Publica. We just don't have that yet, but next quarter. So first document is the advisory council selection process. And the second is this, what's I think called, I don't know like the full name, but it's basically this strategy document, right? Like every ABC has to give very detailed recommendations about how to select advisory council members, and then less detailed, more general outline, like how do we envision strategy for Maker. Yeah, my impression was the same as Vigilant.
Okay, so we have two different sides. What is saying per scope and what is saying just overall.
We just gonna, I think what we can do is like, I think we have a rough outline of the general, and then we can touch each scope and just tie it into like our vision. I think that's doable with not too much effort, and also quite interesting actually to see like how can all these scopes really.
Like, we can try to submit next week, and then maybe go off the team can, for example, if they say we are missing some parts, we can try to fill it before the deadline.
Cool. Vigilant reread it.
Okay, Vigilant say, I feel like the Vigilant is basically like a dictionary, like he or she or they know all. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to be politically correct, but who knows? It might be AI. I haven't figured out, but we see.
The core task is to of an up-to-date ratified alliance governance strategy and up-to-date ratified alliance scope proposals.
Or is it then per proposal? No, it says creation of two alliance governance strategy and up-to-date ratified alliance scope proposals for each of the 5 scopes. So, wait.
Yeah, I think the scope proposals for this quarter just focus on the first part, which is the advisory council members. And then I think, so at least that's how I understood it. Any delegates have any opinions here?
Yeah, help us not get, not rogue ourselves.
Or maybe Patrick knows something.
I mean, he has been silent, so maybe he just wants us to figure out. It's like a puzzle, like it's a journey.
It's not about the prize. It's all about the play, right?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, other way, like so Rafa and I we've been working on just 2 documents that we need to submit, should be recognized, I think, next quarter as well. But yeah, let's maybe aim to try to have it by next week, so that if we need to fill in something, then we can do it. Although I don't think, I mean, especially these days, because ABC's members have been busy. Like, I don't think there has been that much coordination with other ABC members about this. So delegates are like birds that tell us what happened in other meetings, but so maybe they can also, like, once they get some some more information, they can also share with us. All right, but should we then end a little bit soon today, or?
I would end now. Yeah, definitely. Let's give people back some time. And, this is like, I think we do really good working async. And then, yeah, I think this is really just an opportunity for us to engage with delegates. But like, I think,
yeah,
that
then,
opportunity has been granted.
everybody go and touch grass or use the Midjourney to create graphics. We'll have fun. And yes, for the documents, we'll probably share in the Growth ABC channel, so that we can get the feedback from the potential Gold Alpha as well as others. So just stay tuned. All right, then I think we can go. Bye-bye.
Bye.